myself, I'm not just gonna stand here and wait. I wanna just decide what is to be my fate. Alone all by myself, I'm not just gonna stay here and wait.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Really Cool News Week in Review. I'm Jim Finch, and I'll be your host tonight for about an hour and 45 minutes of recapping the past week. Before we begin, just a couple of announcements. We're moving the Patreon launch back a week, so it'll launch on Sunday, June 23rd, 2024. I know. I ran out of time to put the crap in it that I wanted y'all to see before we launch. So there are things in there that I should be ashamed of, and I'd rather have them all preloaded before anyone gets there and thinks that I'm not putting all the embarrassing things on the internet that I probably already have but nobody knew about. Anyway, also for today's news, we did scrounge up a couple of articles that are currently live on the website, but there was not enough for a standalone episode. It was going to go about 4 minutes total, so we'll air that news tomorrow for a Monday double episode. Please note that our Karen Reed murder trial coverage resumes tomorrow as well at 8:55 a.m. The trial will be all-day coverage Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday this week, with half a day with the half a day on Friday and no court on Wednesday due to the Juneteenth holiday. We've also done some renovation today at the ReallyCoolSite.org website, with some menu changes and the decision to officially retire live events and featured videos. They're being replaced by direct links to our Discord feeds that essentially do the same darn thing. They were relics of another time, and we intended to, back in the days when we didn't have Discord, and they were to tell about all the greatest videos we could find, but the Discord bot just does it better and easier, and you just click and you see all the new stuff. But please join our Discord, see all of our work, join the Dark Clydes. With that, we do have a very special post-credit scene that we're going to share right now, because I don't expect anyone to remember any of this after 2 hours of news recaps.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And with that, if you see Pants, please tell him happy birthday today, tomorrow, the next day, the rest of the week. Just inundate him with happy birthday messages so he gets that he's another year older. And it was Worldwide Pants Day, and you saw it here last night first. With that, we're on with the news. I'll be around. This is going to go about an hour and 45 minutes. Thank you for the 10 people who are in the room right now. And please remember, we do have a special What do you call it? We do have a special something. Oh, Stream Elements link. If you'd like to give us some bucks for what we do here, please use the Stream Elements link. And I will read anything we get in at the end of the show tonight in about an hour and 45 minutes. So again, thank you for being here, and let's get into last week's news. No winners for Saturday GoFundMe race. As expected, Saturday again resulted in goose eggs across the board for the GoFundMe campaigns we follow, as there have been no significant updates from any of the YouTubers involved in the campaigns that would result in donations. Jose Chili de Castro, in particular, was silent again on Saturday, bringing concerns from supporters, as it has been a week since a direct statement from the YouTuber, who is currently being housed in the Clark County, Nevada detention center. De Castro's last statement was released on June 3, 2024, and involved an update on his unusual sleep patterns while in jail. In that video, the YouTuber claimed that he was sleeping from late morning through most of the afternoon and staying up all night in order to work on his various projects and lawsuits. While his channel had new live content featuring Brian Here's the Deal Young and attorney Michael Eline, neither indicated that they were in current contact with De Castro, nor did his channel feature new statements on his YouTube community page updating any changes in status from De Castro. Speculation by many of his followers has been that De Castro has been either in an extended lockdown or he has had his phone privileges taken away. De Castro had been notably unhappy about being moved from a minimum barracks to a medium minimum barracks that offered less free time and more limits to what he could do during the day. De Castro's absence has also affected his social blade standings, with his channel falling from a B+ status when he went into jail to a current status of a B. His subscriber rate has also fallen by 72.7% in the last 30 days to a new low of 6,000 new viewers for that period. Likewise, De Castro's video views are down by 48.8%, according to the site, with just 9.5 million video views in the last 30 days. While the site still estimates that he'll make anywhere between $28,000 and $456,000 in revenue from YouTube for the year, and he has yet to start losing subscribers, he's only averaging 200 new subscribers a day and has gone for long periods of time without hitting measurable new subscriber additions on Social Blade. The numbers paint a bleak picture for De Castro, who has a little over 53 days left on his jail sentence, with his proxies ineffective in maintaining his one spectacular average, that of subscriber count. Even with the allegations he had purchased subscribers, his channel is clearly in a spiral at this time. We'll wait and see if his proxies will be able to recover from it, or if they have actually truly managed to put it in a death spiral while he has been languishing in jail. CPU just makes things worse. YouTuber Tom CPU attempted to clean up his threats towards Caitlin Albert and her future children on Saturday with a new live stream shot from his car as he drove through Massachusetts. The YouTuber made threats to prosecution witness Caitlin Albert on Friday, stating that he had plans for her children once she had them, and that she would be thinking of him on her wedding night. His implied threats to the daughter of homeowner Brian Albert, who he has accused of being one of the real murderers of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, set off a wave of negative comments about Tom CPU and saw his comments used in remixes that put his threats to horror music. Tom CPU started his Saturday live stream by accidentally doxing his own phone number and Google phone number, which is still part of the live stream published to YouTube, as he thought the live hadn't started yet. He then claimed he was a supporter of the factually innocent Karen Reed, and he had been hit, pushed around, and accused of having a fake Twitter account that was later supposedly proven false by Turtleboy Aiden Kearney, all because he had supported Reed. Explaining why he was upset with Caitlin Albert, he stated that he thought she was involved in having his medical benefits canceled as she worked in the industry. His threats to her were based on the assumption, as he only just figured out, her supposed connection to the loss of his benefits. The frazzled YouTuber also explained his confusion about why he received negative reactions to his threats to an unconceived child. He said that the child was not real, as he didn't believe that Caitlin Albert had any kids, also noting that he didn't want her gene pool to continue, so it puzzled him why a threat to her imaginary children went viral. Switching subjects, he then went on a rant about the lack of security surrounding Karen Read at the trial. He claimed to be a quasi-bodyguard to Read as she entered and exited the courthouse. He then weirdly expanded his claims to say he was a protector of children, prompting another negative reaction from those watching his live stream. Tom CPU then loudly complained that all the members of the Albert family had police escorts as they came and went from the courthouse, while Karen Read did not. He also implied that Read had a lower standard of care by police, as they wouldn't even stop traffic to allow her to cross the street against the light. As the livestream wrapped up, Tom CPU again directed his scorn against Caitlin Albert. He said that he prayed Albert did not make any phone calls where his name was mentioned. He then promised that his investigations would show that he was justified in his statements threatening Caitlin Albert and her future children. Tom CPU promised he would be on hand when the Karen Read murder trial continues on Monday, and efforts to silence him would not work. Floyd Wallace claims hospital scam. YouTuber Floyd Wallace went live on Saturday with an emergency live stream seeking funds from his fans after being charged an additional $484 on his PayPal account by a hospital in the Dominican Republic. The YouTuber went to a hospital in the Dominican Republic on June 1, 2024, in order to have his GRD checked out, which he claimed was preventing him from properly breathing. He paid for the treatment with his PayPal card and left the country to return to America. Live streaming from a motel in an unknown location, Wallace was agitated as he had plans to meet with 3 women on Saturday that were now in doubt. He claimed that he had lined up girls to party for the day, but now he couldn't as he was scammed by the hospital bill. Wallace immediately began an emergency fundraiser based on the hospital stealing from him and explained that he would have been put in jail if he was in the Dominican Republic, as he would have had a violent reaction to losing the money. The occasional First Amendment auditor refused to show further proof of the transactions, strangely unless his fans donated to his Cash App account. He also refused to answer direct questions, following his standard policy, unless his fans gave him Cash App donations. Wallace's side chat disputed his claims, as, according to those who looked at his bill, the initial $488 charge on June 1st did not go through, and that the $484 charge on Saturday morning was a second attempt to charge for services by the hospital. Fans and friends in his side chat also gave Wallace a round of "I told you so" remarks, as they had previously told him not to use his PayPal card while overseas and to only use cash to prevent incidents like this from happening. Wallace responded to those remarks by banning the majority of the people who made them. He irrationally reacted to the side chat and became increasingly agitated on camera as the live stream progressed. Eventually breaking down, Wallace explained that the money the hospital took was the money he had devoted to buying a car off of Facebook Marketplace. He also explained that the money he had previously raised for the Philippines and Thailand was also now gone. At the end of the 3-hour live stream, Wallace still had no response from PayPal about the dispute or enough donations to make up for his losses. He put his head in his hands, going silent for extended periods of time, before putting up photos of 3 random women and ending the live stream. Riverside Accountability takes plea deal. Printed reports by The Sun and other publications indicate that jailed First Amendment auditor David Chavez, formerly part of a group known as the Justice 8, took a plea deal on Friday. Chavez was arrested in a stunning early morning raid in December, which he captured as the last posted live stream on his YouTube channel since then. The raid, echoed by similar raids across California that morning, came after an extensive police crackdown on a group Chavez was allegedly part of, led by activist Eden Alexander and Murado. The group collectively had been charged with assault, kidnapping, and conspiracy after a series of incidents involving street vendors in Southern California last year. Their specific charges came from an arranged protest in September in support of a 16-year-old girl who was body slammed by police after a football game. The protest turned violent as the auditors squared off with a male passenger in a vehicle, which resulted in an uninvolved citizen being pepper sprayed. The group, dubbed the Freedom Eight, had been held without possibility of bond since December, which is unusual for offenders in the state of California. Courts justified holding the individuals due to the threat to public safety and Morado and others caused by amassing groups of 300 or more people to harass targets with a single post on social media. These spontaneous gatherings plagued California last year as the group managed to hold them at a moment's notice, often gathering hundreds of people in front of the residences of those accused of harassing or hurting street vendors. Police arriving at the gatherings were often overwhelmed by the size of the crowd and needed help to disperse the crowd from other police forces in the area. This led to a joint task force in the late summer and early fall that identified the ringleaders of the group and their eventual arrests. David Chavez's Riverside Valley Accountability YouTube page has been dormant since the arrest. While he was arrested with the group, his videos were forgettable for the most part. They blended in with countless other videos from Southern California-based First Amendment auditors, though did occasionally focus on justice for street vendors. Chavez agreed to take a plea deal on Friday, where he will receive 2 years in state prison, with around a year of credit for time served. He remains in custody as of press time. Flashback, June 9th, 2023. Payne trespassed from laundromat. Jeremiah Payne's Thursday return to YouTube live streaming came to an abrupt end as Payne was trespassed by police from a Clarksville, Tennessee laundromat for causing a disruption. Payne, accompanied by wife Samantha and their 5-year-old daughter, broadcasted from outside of a Clarksville area laundromat on Thursday. Payne's daughter stated that she needed to use the bathroom and expressed fear of a woman who was working at the laundromat who yelled at her earlier for taking extended time in the bathroom while playing in the sink. This enraged Payne, who brought his wife and daughter back into the laundromat to confront the woman. Taking the key to the bathroom from the woman, Payne stood guard while Samantha and their daughter used the bathroom, then used the bathroom himself. On the way to return the key and exit the store, the woman yelled at Payne's daughter for pushing a laundry cart to the front of the store. Payne began to curse at the woman, and a man working at the store told Payne's family to leave the premises. Once outside, Payne gave the laundromat's phone number and website to his live chat and directed his viewers to call the laundromat and to complain about his treatment. Payne backed away from the store entrance as the male worker returned a bag Payne had left in the store while on the phone with police. Payne was cordial with the responding police officers as they arrived, and both he and his wife Samantha gave a reasoned explanation of what happened. They were then told the laundromat owner wanted to permanently trespass them from the establishment. Payne seemed calm during the police officer's explanation that the trespass only encompasses the area around the laundromat and the Payne family would be able to use the other businesses at the strip mall. The younger of the two responding officers let out a nervous laugh when Payne said that he would now be suing the Clarksville Police Department, which enraged Payne. Payne started screaming at the officers and refused to leave the parking lot to return to his hotel until after the officers left in their patrol cars. Neither Jeremiah or Samantha Payne were charged in the incident. Site changes, updates, and more. Oh boy! It's been a little under a month since the break was made from the old place, and I launched into a YouTube nightly newscast covering all the First Amendment auditing news that I'd normally report on strictly in the written form. In that time, I've had to adjust a lot about my life because of the fact that I was now taking on about 2 more hours a day to produce and record audio content to supplement my efforts on our long-form written website. I'm honestly trying to improve every day, and it's been a month of ups and downs. Stylistically, I'm comfortable with the evolution of the product I'm putting out every day. I've come a long way with the daily newscasts, and my news reading is getting better. The format I'm using for the video audio reports is getting a bit more professional as I've switched to using Adobe Premiere and Adobe Audition instead of Adobe Express, and I think you'll be seeing some of my best work ever as things move forward this week. Remember, I'm self-taught, and less than 2 weeks ago I had no clue how to use either product, let alone on the level where I'd be producing a nightly newscast. I've had setbacks for sure this month. My throat is a mess. The usual mix of allergies and early summer sinus infections have knocked me off my feet a couple of times this past week. And as I write this, it's 4:52 a.m., and I don't know when I'll sleep again, as I need to get the recordings done and the paper out before the start of the Karen Reed murder trial at 8:25 a.m. this morning. Doing coverage of the murder trial has been fun with my co-host Hank and Phil. I'm constantly amazed that they decided to come over with me and have been such a huge part of our daily programming. I honestly don't know what I'd do without them, and I owe them both so much as we look towards the future of the channel and as the Karen Reed murder trial wraps up. That said, I'm striving to grow our audience as well. I know it's only been a month, but we're surviving on donations from some really big donors at the moment. One thing I'm changing is adding Stream Elements donations to every live event, as we're not yet monetized. YouTube Shorts are also coming, if I can find a way or hours in the day in order to do them in a compelling fashion. I understand that we're a niche market, but every day I'm exploring new opportunities for promotion to get word out there that we're growing and expanding. Our week in review show is more than likely going to be pre-recorded from now on, and the time will be changing from 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. where it counts, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific each Sunday night. I'm trying hard to keep up with the featured videos and live event daily updates. I've just been running so hard lately that I don't know if I can keep up with them on a daily basis. I apologize for that, but we'll be making an effort to keep them alive as we go forward. With that, please share our links, please donate if you can, please keep me from forgetting to unmute my microphone on daily broadcasts, and please know that this paper and channel is nothing without you. All of your help is appreciated, and as always, thank you for your time, your efforts, and your patience. It's been a long month, it'll be a longer summer, and we'll strive to find our niche in this mad world that is 1A reporting. Eline's incredible numbers have no impact on Goose Egg Sunday. YouTuber Michael Eline put up spectacular yet controversial viewing numbers on his latest broadcast as Jose Chili DeCastro's replacement host on DeCastro's YouTube channel, but his efforts resulted in no donations at all for DeCastro's ongoing GoFundMe campaigns. Eline ended Sunday night's broadcast with an above-average 5,000 YouTube views. That number, incredibly, grew to 25,000 within an hour of the end of the broadcast, then grew again to 35,000, and sat at 42,000 viewers when it seemed to taper out by 10 p.m. Eastern. Those viewers didn't interact with chat, didn't leave comments, and didn't provide likes to the video. They just appeared and observed waves until stopping, leading to the usual accusations that they were paid viewers, not necessarily viewers paid for by Eline. We defend Eline as he is proven to be incompetent in almost all aspects of his persona. His legal advice has been decimated by those in the legal community who actually went to law school and have active practices. His hosting on his own channel rarely pulls in more than 100 viewers, notably more than our own incompetent efforts, but nowhere near the viewership numbers that he's gotten in the past couple of appearances on DeCastro's channel. Our opinion is that he wouldn't know where to buy viewers or have the money to pay for those viewers. On the other hand, though, if someone would pay for viewership to come in waves and come in after the event in the most suspicious way possible, it'd be Michael Eline. But those are opinions and not proven facts. We also have previous evidence of outside actors who would purchase viewers, likes, and subscribers on behalf of DeCastro. Before his current incarceration in the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center, DeCastro had days when his likes would mysteriously outpace his actual viewing numbers. DeCastro never addressed it, and there was always bragging on various Discord servers that outside forces paid for those likes. History is there for the troll, but proof, as always, will be hard to come by. Elon could have just hit the algorithm again, and those viewers were just overly impressed with his presentation and didn't stick around to become subscribers, according to Social Blade Sunday status updates to DeCastro's channel. They did that for, reasons? As for the rest, it was goose eggs across the board. Elon brought in no money for DeCastro despite his efforts, and neither did the rest of the motley crew that we follow. It's starting to look like a long week as we head into the middle of the month. As always, if you'd like to help us out, we do have a GoFundMe of our own, located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. More drama in Canton. Turtle Boy attacks. Apparently jealous of Tom's CPU sucking the life out of the pro-Karen Reed forces near Canton, Massachusetts, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney launched attacks on Kate Peter and others again on Sunday. Kearney's outbursts came as fellow Karen Reed defender Tom CPU took center stage over the weekend with a series of threatening comments about witness Caitlin Albert and her possible unborn children. Tom CPU's threats, followed by his inept attempt to clean up his comments without an apology, came as the Karen Reed defender proclaimed himself a protector of Karen Reed, who was worried that his disability benefits would somehow be turned off by Caitlin Albert. Providing no evidence that his benefits were at risk, or that Caitlin Albert had the power to do anything to impact them, Tom CPU seemed astonished at the outrage over his threats to an unconceived child or a witness in the case. He claimed that his investigations will prove that Albert deserves his scorn, and he offered no apologies for his statements. Perhaps jealous of Tom CPU's rising star in the pro-Karen Reed movement, Kearney lashed out in a mix of old and new targets over the weekend, including Kate Peter, who he's been involved with in a long-standing online feud. Kearney, strangely, had previously told the court that he lived in fear of Peter's actions to the point he needed a protection order issued against her. He was also behind witness intimidation charges, as an ex-girlfriend was so intimidated by Peter's presence online and in person that Peter is now facing felony witness intimidation charges. The attacks came as simple retweeting of others mentioning Peter's old tweets. They included tweets where Peter defended herself from charges of child neglect and other accusations by Turtle Boy supporters. The YouTuber was apparently triggered by a post from an apparent Facebook group that he stopped at a specific pizza shop every morning in Holden, Massachusetts for coffee. Posts from the group called for the harassment and mocking of Kearney, to which Kearney replied by doxing the Instagram account of one of the group members. Kearney tweeted specifically about group member Kimberly Whaley Davis, exposing her Instagram account and claiming the woman wanted to come to his house to hit him in the face with a plunger. Kearney's expected to be seen in the press pool area of the Karen Reed murder trial on Monday. Mystery surrounds Wallace dream dates. Floyd Wallace went live Sunday afternoon from a hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska, with two women that he claimed to have met on Tinder in order to show how he interacted with women from the United States. In typical Wallace fashion, he couldn't remember the names of either woman. He called one Maria until she corrected her name to be Mia, and apparently did not know the name of the other woman until he asked for it 30 minutes into the broadcast. He did, however, confirm that they were adults, with Mia aged 24 and Debbie aged 22. He then offered to sell their contact information for $50 per woman via Cash App donations, with all the money going directly to each woman. Due to Wallace's past, accusations were immediately made that the women were prostitutes, with Wallace claiming that he knew Maria/Mia from Tinder and they were friends. He couldn't explain why there was another African-American man in the room who refused to be on camera and seemed to be escorting the girls. The 2-hour video session turned into a discussion with a fan who is also part of the Mr. Passport Bro lifestyle, who paid $40 to join Wallace's panel for the hour. That fan handled most of the questions from chat, as Wallace marveled at the women in his room, adding comments from time to time. One of the insights Wallace provided was that he didn't like to have sex with multiple groups of women at once. He claimed to have tried 3 women at once in Brazil and felt it wasn't right for him, indicating that he had to immediately shower afterwards in order to clean himself of possible sexually transmitted diseases. Updating his travel plans, he said he was in the United States temporarily and that all of his criminal cases had been resolved. He said that he could travel to Colombia and Brazil immediately if he had the funding, and would soon launch a campaign for donations towards his next trip outside of the United States. Wallace then pondered going back to the Dominican Republic in order to resolve the billing snafu from the hospital which he claims double billed him on Friday, leading to his emergency fundraising live stream. He wondered when 30 days were up and when he could legally re-enter the country in order to return to confront the hospital workers. The stream ended with updates on his attempts to purchase a vehicle. Wallace claimed that he was driving a rental car right now, and that the woman who rented it to him said she would sell it to him if he could come up with a down payment for the purchase. Wallace is expected to be staying in Nebraska for the next few weeks and will be live streaming daily as he fundraises to cover more travel expenses. Flashback, June 10th, 2023. DeCastro files emergency motion. Jose Chile de Castro filed an emergency motion with the judge in his Nevada-based civil case on Thursday for a preliminary injunction to stay his arraignment for his March arrest in Las Vegas, set for next week. In the 4-page briefing, de Castro claims that his arraignment for obstruction and interference charges would have a direct impact on his civil case and would chill his rights. It also states that he expected to have the results of his internal affairs complaint by the time of his arraignment. An accompanying memo indicates that de Castro has contacted Craig R. Anderson, who is part of the firm representing the defendants in the lawsuit, who stated that they would be filing a stay to delay the civil case until de Castro's criminal charges were stayed. De Castro placed a direct call to the offices of Judge Andrew P. Gordon, the judge assigned to both de Castro and Floyd Wallace's separate federal civil rights lawsuits, during his first livestream on Friday. The YouTuber left a voicemail urging the judge to get back to him immediately on this motion. The self-proclaimed civil rights activist then went live with a second livestream from Las Vegas as he checked in on his internal affairs complaint. De Castro filed the complaint last month, accompanied by Wallace, to complain about the torture during his March arrest by Las Vegas Metro police officers involved in the arrest. After wandering around the lobby of the building and a jarring interaction with a woman working reception, the volunteer receptionists left their posts and 4 police officers approached de Castro. One of the officers stated that de Castro's internal affairs complaint was now closed and wished de Castro to have a nice day. De Castro appeared stunned by the news, following 2 of the officers outside and attempting to make small talk with them twice. He also theorized that a tip was made to police about his brief interaction with teenagers involved in a Kids Explorer program where he made negative statements about police was the reason the internal affairs officers were prepared for his arrival. The YouTuber was also puzzled by the fact that his YouTube channel listed over 3,000 viewers at the time of his interaction with Internal Affairs. De Castro was visibly shaken by the number and called for his chat to essentially put a 1 in the chat, or OTVO, to prove that they were real. De Castro's planned late-night fundraiser for Eric Trujillo was apparently canceled after De Castro's interaction with Internal Affairs. The YouTuber stated that if his fundraising efforts on behalf of his disabled fan were unsuccessful, he will personally pay for the fan's wheelchair and eye monitoring software. As part of the announcement, De Castro claimed that he has raised the price of his print-on-demand trifolds from $6 to $8 to help fund those efforts. Trujillo's GoFundMe campaign has raised $2,807 out of a stated goal of $7,250 as of press time. Team Skeptic sued by subjective video. News broke overnight that popular YouTuber Team Skeptic was facing a lawsuit against him from Lindsay Ann Donunsky, a woman that he had featured on his channel in a 2023 broadcast. Donunsky filed a lawsuit against Skeptic and YouTube Google in May in the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Michigan. She is seeking damages based on defamation, intentional infliction of emotional harm, intimidation, tampering with a witness, trespassing, and violations of her First, 4th, and 14th Amendment rights under the United States Constitution. The lawsuit stems from a 2023 video Skeptic made featuring Dunsky for his YouTube channel. Skeptic compared Dunsky to Jose Chili DeCastro in reviewing her appearance in the case of Van Buren Township versus Lindsay Dunsky. He also made comments describing Dunsky as behaving like a Karen and acting like a sovereign citizen. Dunsky's court appearance in the reviewed video saw her threaten to sue the judge handling the case for malicious prosecution. She was facing charges related to her apparent actions in an ongoing custody dispute involving her former husband and her children. Skeptic's reaction video focused on Dunsky's behavior in court, along with statements about the multiple lawsuits she had previously attempted to file against police, her ex-husband, and the courts. Her May filing, which included YouTube Google as a defendant, claims that Skeptic knowingly published erroneous, misleading, and defamatory statements against her in an attempt to torture, harass, and inflict undue emotional, mental, and reputational harm to her. Someone contending to be Dunsky had originally threatened Skeptic with a lawsuit last year in reply to his original video. If it was indeed Dunsky, it is unclear why she waited so long to file suit in the case. Another factor in the case may be a recent ruling by the United States District Court, Eastern District of Michigan, Southern Division, dated just days after her filing against Skeptic, that ordered Dunsky to seek permission in the court before filing any further lawsuits originating from the child custody case, or by paying the complete civil course filing fees when filing for the lawsuits. That ruling noted that Dunsky has filed at least 13 lawsuits in relation to the child custody dispute, and many of those had been dismissed as frivolous. The ruling is currently unclear as to how it may apply to the lawsuit against Skeptic, as Dunsky is suing Skeptic and YouTube Google over comments Skeptic made about her actions in the court appearance related to the child custody dispute. Dunsky may also experience difficulties in both jurisdictional issues involving YouTube Google and in finding Skeptic to serve him with the lawsuit. Under YouTube's terms and conditions, which every YouTube user agrees to by using the service, Dunsky agreed that she would only file a civil lawsuit against the company in California's Santa Clara County Superior Court. Skeptic himself has proven to be elusive of service when others have tried to sue him for similar charges. Most notably, Jose Chili DeCastro has failed to provide service to Skeptic in multiple different lawsuits over the past 2 years. DeCastro, operating with a far greater knowledge of Skeptic's whereabouts and routines than Dunsky, currently has been found to have failed to properly serve Skeptic in his ongoing California-based federal civil rights lawsuit against Skeptic, Kate Peter, Michael Blue Bacon Paratini, and Daniel Clement. Skeptic himself released a tongue-in-cheek ChatGPT-created response to Dunsky's lawsuit and wished her good luck in finding him to serve him with the lawsuit. This is a breaking news story. Life returns to normal. Goose eggs again on Monday. The GoFundMe market entered a new phase on Monday, as, for the second time since we began tracking it, we've seen goose eggs across the board for 3 days in a row. Complete lack of activity by the majority of the subjects of our tracking is key to it, but strangely, funds that should have received notice, Jose Chili DeCastro's in particular, saw no gains at all despite massive attention drawn to the live streams on his channel. DeCastro's high numbers from Michael Eline's Sunday stream, the second in under a week to surpass 40,000 viewers, have brought out the conspiracy theorists and trolls, as DeCastro's own Monday address to his followers has done a little over 3,200 views as of press time, but has more likes and comments than Eline's video. The jail address by DeCastro has seen 442 likes to 276 comments since going up about 17 hours before press time, to Eline's livestream on DeCastro's channel that did 145 likes to 66 comments since going live, again roughly 36 hours before press time. While not a sign of anything tangible, it does tend to figure that if Eline had an influx of actual support, they'd be a little more vocal about it. Again, with lack of actual evidence, we must conclude that Eli just got lucky. He somehow hit the YouTube algorithm in a sweet spot. But, yeah. In the past, the culprits of views and like buys have made it known. Right now, there's been radio silence from anyone who would normally troll DeCastro's channel. And until somebody breaks the silence, we must stick with the facts until the truth comes out. Oh dear lordy, somebody start talking. DeCastro's lack of gains on his GoFundMe campaigns after such a massive showing by Eli also points to a troll. But again, DeCastro wasn't alone in that regard. No one is putting out quality content or promoting their crowdsourced campaigns at this time. Without oxygen, as we always say, the fire can't spread. Which brings us to the daily reminder of our own ongoing GoFundMe campaign as we suck the air out of the room. As always, if you'd like to help us out, we do have a GoFundMe of our own, located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Turtle Boy declares Karen Reed case done. Monday's testimony by lead investigator Michael Proctor in the ongoing Karen Reed murder trial brought the declaration of victory by Reed supporter Aidan Turtle Boy Kearney due to the controversial nature of Proctor's testimony. While the defense has been very vocal that the prosecution would never put Michael Proctor on the stand due to controversial comments in an internal affairs complaint against him, Proctor took the stand on Monday, bringing more focus about jokes and odd comments he made in the course of the investigation than his actual work as lead investigator in the case. Taking the subject on directly, prosecutor Adam Lowley grilled Proctor over comments made against Reed and Reed's attorneys and messages he sent to friends, family, and co-workers during the course of his investigation. Proctor had joked that he had not found nudes while searching Reed's phone, made fun of side effects of Reed's reported colitis, and insulted and degraded both Reed and Reed's attorney David Yannetti in messages he sent during the investigation. Proctor called the comments regrettable and unprofessional while on the stand, and it is unclear if potential disciplinary actions may involve his removal from the police force. Kearney, viewing from the press area, pounced on Proctor's comments and claimed that the reactions from the jurors showed that the case was over, done, finished. He tweeted that 2 of the jurors rolled their eyes and reacted negatively towards what was said, and implied that they could never be swayed back to believing the prosecution's case. Kearney played up Proctor's comments as the stuff of legend, so violent, so unfortunate, that the case was over. In his opinion, there was no coming back from such evil comments. While he was texting his outraged reaction, Kearney continued to replace Massachusetts State Police Sergeant Yuri Buchanek's last name with a graphic sexual term. He also ignored his own harassment of reporter Grant Smith Ellis over having the same medical condition as Reed, his circulation of revenge porn, which is now being called the Turtle Boy Law, and his own characterization of the sexual conduct of witnesses in the case. In the end, though, despite his claims otherwise, Kearney is not officially part of the case. Proctor is. It will take quite a bit of rehabilitation for the prosecution to recover from the negativity surrounding Monday's testimony in the case. DeCastro claims to be back in minimum housing. Jose Chile DeCastro's daily update for June 7, 2024, released on June 10, 2024, contained the news that his current barracks in the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center was apparently being converted to a minimum security area. DeCastro claimed that all the inmates with a history of violent behavior or charges of violence against them were rounded up from his current barracks and rehoused in other parts of the detention center. They were replaced by homeless and mentally ill individuals. Claiming that this was a victory, DeCastro claimed that he was now back with the minimum security status individuals where he belonged after being housed in the barracks classified as a medium minimum security status over the past 2 weeks. Since DeCastro has not changed locations, and only the population of the barracks had changed, it is unclear if the draconian rules of the barracks were also lifted. DeCastro had previously complained loudly that the particular barracks had offered less free time and more lockdowns than his previous barracks. DeCastro had also previously claimed that he was moved from an area devoted to the lowest characterization of danger, minimum, to a higher classification, medium minimum, due to plumbing issues in his previous barracks. Speculation by outsiders claimed that DeCastro was punished by reclassification at the time for his demands to Brigade Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman, who decided his recent criminal case, with petitions in order to force her to free him from imprisonment. DeCastro briefly touched on that case, claiming that his upcoming appeals hearing was an assured victory for his cause. He then hedged his bets, stating that if he lost, he'd then appeal to the Nevada State Supreme Court, as at least one judge on the panel would surely stand up for the First Amendment and take up DeCastro's cause. Despite the outcome, DeCastro promised swift retribution towards the state of Nevada once he was released from jail. He promised a lawsuit against the state for its improper guilty verdict, sentencing, and jailing, but would also be pursuing charges against those judges who ruled against him. DeCastro received some good news on Monday as the trial for his Maryland criminal case for harassment charges levied against him by former partner Colin Project Constitution Campbell was moved from next week to September of 2024. No reason was given for the delay, though a motion had been filed on Friday that apparently called for the delay. We will continue to provide updates to DeCastro's criminal cases as we receive them. Flashback, June 11, 2023. DeCastro Showcase Snafu. A much less impassioned Jose Chile DeCastro returned to live streaming on Saturday to talk about the next steps in his pursuit of an inquiry into his complaint about the officers who handled his March arrest in Las Vegas. In Thursday's emergency motion with the Nevada-based federal district court in order to stay his arraignment in Nevada's criminal court on Tuesday, DeCastro said the findings of his internal affairs complaint would be important to his criminal case, and allowing the criminal case to proceed would chill his rights in the civil matter. DeCastro received an answer from Internal Affairs to his query on Friday, as an Internal Affairs officer informed him that the case was now closed and wished him to have a nice day. Without a scathing indictment from Internal Affairs, DeCastro was left with an appeal to the Citizens Review Board that works closely with Internal Affairs in cases that were otherwise rejected for review by Internal Affairs. Alas, for DeCastro, his planned presentation on the Citizens Review Board featured a video of what he claimed to be the board's processes and had a lengthy statement from David Roger, who DeCastro claimed was the general counsel for the Citizens Review Board. Despite a logo being played on the screen and DeCastro naming it directly, DeCastro failed to make it clear that the video was produced by the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, an association that represents police with the Citizens Review Board and not the board itself. According to their website, the LVPPA was incorporated in 1947 and currently represents active and retired members of the LVMPD and corrections officers and the Las Vegas Deputy City and Municipal Court Marshals. LVPPA's ongoing mission is to provide its members with the best benefits and services available in partnership with providers and fellow associations and organizations. The LVPPA is associated with the National Association of Police Organizations, Southern Nevada Conference of Police and Sheriffs, and the Big 50. A distracted DeCastro claimed that the Citizens Review Board process was illegitimate, as ultimately the process would come down to police investigating police and no justice would be found. During the broadcast, prominent YouTuber and Irish beer enthusiast Irish Demon joined DeCastro's chat, only to be immediately timed out. Following the video, DeCastro turned his attention to his fundraising efforts on behalf of a disabled fan, who is fundraising for an electric wheelchair and an Oricam My Eye Pro Visual Assistant device. DeCastro raised $350 toward the goal of $7,250. DeCastro stated that while it may take a month to reach the goal, he has embraced the cause and will devote a portion of every live stream to fundraising on his fans' behalf. Follow-up, Team Skeptic gets sued. On June 12, 2024, the following messages were sent to our YouTube channel in response to our coverage of the recently announced lawsuit against Team Skeptic. We present them without alteration.
You're not saying my name Right.
Team Skeptic 4 minutes ago. He can say your last name as he pleases. As your elected king, Dunansky, I gave him permission.
Also, you're mistaken about most of the facts as well. This matter has nothing to my custody with my husband, per se. Just that the unlawful things that happened in that case as a result of the Melissa's prosecution that started as a result of that case has affected a completely separate case negatively. And maybe before you start speculating about what's going on with my cases based on the incompetence and corruption of the court responses to my valid claims, you should actually look at the facts of the case and read what I'm claiming and the nonsense that they're using to dismiss it wrongfully, rather than follow the law and give assistance to a pro se litigant, rather than act as if they are the attorneys for any governmental agency that is sued, which is not their place, nor do they have any right to do so. Further, quite, it is be a conflict of interest, since the judges are all bar members and part of the same association, and wherefore it is highly inappropriate for judges and courts provide legal advice and assistance. Private corporate entities that contract with we the people's government to provide governmental infrastructure and services.
Team Skeptic 6 minutes ago. Legal Genius said she could run circles around judges. Also says per se, get an education.
As for not serving him, maybe he's unaware of the fact that YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and any other social media platform is considered to be a place where you can be served, including his own channel's comment section in any social media that he may have. Furthermore, because he's running a business, he has contracted with either the federal or the state corporations, which means he's agreed to electronic service under the law. So I don't even have to hand serve him, because this is a corpo matter where electronic service is an acceptable means of service under the law of the United States Federal Court procedure codes and laws. Chili is amazing at what he does, and he's better than me at a lot of things. However, I don't believe he knows as many of the different types of laws pertaining to laws that are derived from natural law than I do, or quite as well as I do overall, or how these different types of laws can and can't work together, etc. I am the very least a low-level expert in any given genre of law and mid to high-level expert in civics, constitutional law, statutory law, both federal and state, procedural / administrative law, contract law, common law, natural law, UCC. I can literally run circles around most judge, which I exactly why they wrongfully dimmy everything I fill, because they do not want me getting my evidence and record in federal court after I nearly won of my federal lawsuit that they suddenly rescinded, and then shortly thereafter sent the FBI after me to flat out kidnap my children from me and tell me to stop being a Facebook, in Twitter, lawyer. I highly doubt they would have done that if I wasn't. being effective.
Team Skeptic 3 minutes ago. Also, so that you know, I am officially serving you with my counterclaim for damages incurred to me due to your constant stealing of my oxygen. I rule the earth. You are in my jurisdiction. God said so. We were then given a reply to our post indicating that a discussion area had been opened on our Discord server. This is the unedited reply we received.
I don't really use Discord much, but thank you anyway. My intention in posting here specifically on this video is to rebut it as false using the truth as my defense. Isn't it wise to get both sides of the story and report all of the information, reducing any incorrect information rather than relying on one biased source? Now that you can ask me directly, there's absolutely no reason why you can't get both sides of the story and report that as well. When you review all my evidence, you'll see that the full context of the cases and see the violations, rights, and injustices occurring, as opposed to relying on one side and furthering harm caused by the original actions. One such action was Team Skeptic's defamatory video, which was full of lies and gross mischaracterizations about me. This is an official electronic notice under United States law requiring you to cease and desist from any and all defamatory actions, falsehoods, misinformation, and other unlawful defamatory activities against me. This is my good faith effort to inform you to correct this error immediately. I understand some misinformation may be based on the lies that have been spread. Your video is proof of the harm caused by Team Skeptic. I am not upset with you, but I urge you to verify the information and publish the correct details. I am more than willing to share all the facts and evidence of my case with you to clear my name.
We will continue to monitor the situation as it plays out in the comments area of various YouTube videos. We've also set up a special section of our Discord for further discussion. Goose eggs dominate Tuesday GoFundMe take. It was the fourth day of goose eggs for campaigns that we follow, with no one stepping up to take on the GoFundMe crown. Absolute silence reigned across the YouTube channels we follow, as it seems that late spring has taken the life out of most of the YouTubers involved in their campaigns, perhaps waiting for next week's equinox and an early summer refresh before moving forward. YouTuber Jose Chile de Castro may address new developments in his ongoing criminal and civil matters this week, as he had another day taken away from his current jail sentence and now will be released on August 1st, 2024. De Castro also received some odd news about a lawsuit he's involved in involving a car crash from 2 years ago. Pursuant to California Rules of Court, Rules 3.72-3.730, a completed case management statement must be filed at least 15 calendar days prior to the case management conference. The case management statement may be filed jointly by all parties/attorneys of record or individually by each party/attorney of record. You must be familiar with the case and be fully prepared to participate effectively in the case management conference. At the case management conference, the court may make pre-trial orders, including the following but not limited to: an order establishing a discovery schedule, an order referring the case to alternative dispute resolution, an order reclassifying the case, an order setting subsequent conference and trial date, or other orders to achieve the goals of the Trial Court Delay Reduction Act. Notice is hereby given that if you do not file the case management statement or appear and effectively participate at the case management conference, the court may impose sanctions pursuant to LAS Local Rule 3.37, Code of Civil Procedure Sections 177.5, 575.2, 583.150, 583.360, and 583.410, Government Code Section 68608, Subdivision B, and California Rules of Court Rule 2.2. DeCastro has until June 16, 2024 to reply to the court's orders, though it's unclear if DeCastro has officially been served in the case. This almost forgotten case illustrates another reason why DeCastro, of all the YouTubers we follow, should be promoting his multiple GoFundMe campaigns, as he will need a competent legal strategy to move forward. We'll continue to monitor the lawsuit and DeCastro's various deadlines as we receive more updates. More details on the lawsuit can be found at PDocs's The Public Documents of Jose Maria Chile de Castro's website. As always, if you'd like to help out, we do have a GoFundMe of our own, located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. DeWitt hearing footage released. Footage of police enthusiast and convicted sex offender Jeremy DeWitt's most recent court hearing has been released to the public on the Jeremy DeWitt Show by PoliceTube's Uncle YouTube channel, which was provided to them by the So You Dated a Police Impersonator Love Shane YouTube channel. The 8-minute long video essentially shows the proceedings from last week, where DeWitt refused a plea deal from the prosecution, which would have limited his sentence to 9 years in jail, forcing a trial that is set to begin on June 13, 2024. DeWitt was reportedly offered an extension to reconsider his decision or to come up with a counterproposal of his own for a plea deal, but has yet to reply to the prosecution as of press time. The YouTuber is on trial for a multitude of violations of his probation and conditions of release as a registered sex offender. DeWitt's Osceola County, Florida charges are the first of 3 high-profile cases coming this year for DeWitt, as he is also facing charges from Orange County, Florida, and federal tax evasion charges. There is a slight possibility that the Florida charges may be combined in a plea deal, along with the elimination of 2 charges that have yet to be filed against DeWitt. However, there seems to be a little chance that the police impersonator will take any deal presented. Again, DeWitt goes on trial tomorrow, June 13th, 2024. Wallace gives up on American women. Floyd Wallace returned to live streaming on Monday with the declaration that he was done with American women after a Sunday live stream resulted in lack of romantic action from the American women he chose to feature. In a now private stream, Wallace spoke for nearly 4 hours about his feelings on American women based on the previous live stream in which he featured a Tinder date with a woman, her friend, and her friend's silent male escort who refused to appear on camera. Wallace claimed that even though he had provided food for both women and invited them to his hotel, the women were not interested in his romantic overtures, and despite his reports that they begged him to visit them in Omaha, were uninterested in him once they arrived. The YouTuber concluded that the 2 women were disrespectful and paled in comparison with the women in the third world countries he visited, who valued a man's time and would never treat him in the fashion that these women did. Wallace ignored his own behavior on the live stream, refusing to learn the women's names, staring at his own image in the camera, and ignoring their viewpoints in order to sell their contact information to his audience, claiming that despite all the super chats and donations from the live stream going to the women were uninterested in his romantic advances. They left the hotel after the stream without providing him with sexual relief, despite him traveling from Houston, Texas to Omaha, Nebraska to meet them. Wallace complained bitterly that he was now done with American women and that he would be returning to Houston to look for work. He also attempted to fundraise for the $500 down payment he'd need to keep the car he was currently renting from his cousin, a 2004 Chevrolet Impala. The YouTuber claimed he would focus on getting a warehouse job or drive for DoorDash now that he had a car, with the intention of leaving the United States as soon as possible. It is unclear how much Wallace made in his fundraising efforts, as he made the video private immediately after ending the stream. Wallace is expected to do another multi-hour live stream this afternoon. Flashback, June 12, 2023. DeCastro's injunction request denied in Las Vegas. Judge Andrew P. Gordon denied Jose Chile de Castro's request to stay his June 13th arraignment in Las Vegas. De Castro, who is facing obstruction and interference criminal charges in Las Vegas criminal court, asked the judge in his federal civil rights lawsuit against the officers who arrested him to stay the criminal proceedings, or else it would chill his rights in the civil case. Craig R. Anderson, the attorney representing the defendants in the case, stated the opposite in De Castro's meet and confer document filed with his motion. Anderson apparently claiming that a delay in the civil case should be granted until the civil case is resolved. Ultimately, Judge Gordon found that De Castro failed to state the nature of the first hearing, what he expected to happen at the hearing, or how it would impact the case. Furthermore, De Castro failed to state why he could not raise constitutional challenges to the prosecution of the Las Vegas case, a reason why he'd be jailed, or even why he would be subjected to excessive force if he was jailed pending trial. The judge cited Younger v. Harris, which states that the state and federal court should usually abstain from interfering with each other's proceedings as the basis for his decision. De Castro has not released a statement as of press time. In more De Castro legal news, Michael Blue Bacon Paratini filed a case management update form with California's Superior Court of Los Angeles. The form indicates that Jose Chile de Castro is unwilling to confer on the matters with Paratini via phone if the call is recorded. Paratini's statement reads, "Plaintiff is unwilling to confer on a recorded phone line and is threatening defendant Paratini with litigation in Washington state. Defendant Paratini has interpreted this threat as a consequence for declining to settle the case. Plaintiff's communications may have violated the protection order defendant Paratini has against him, and further violations are anticipated. This is a developing story." Fifth day of goose eggs means no winners ever? There's nothing wrong with GoFundMe, or at least nothing reported to be wrong, so Wednesday's goose eggs for a fifth day in a row just mean that the market's died and no more money is coming in. For now, anyway. I mean, that's the only real conclusion we have right now, as we're in uncharted territory. 3 for a second time was odd. 4 was bad. But 5? 5 days of the kings and queens of fundraising going without a single donation? Something's going on here. Maybe the magic is gone. I know that none of the auditors have been making an effort lately. Since Long Island Audits got use of his billboard truck, Jose Chile de Castro has all but given up in jail, and most of his cases are either in holding patterns or going nowhere. He's pretty content to take money in through other means. The rest of them, DMA, Hendry, etc., either have forgotten about their campaigns or have abandoned them. They're obviously not a priority, and have left us in such a quandary as day after day there's nothing to write home about. Literally. We have been filling the space with random news or updates. Hendry, De Castro, Direct D. Stories where there either weren't going to be a lot of eyeballs on them, or there wasn't enough for an actual story to go by. We'd make it pretty, of course, but the evolving purpose of this article was to be a filler for the newscast, as it comes at the start of every episode and allows for our viewership to rise to our normal levels as people filter in. Every so often we'd do something spicy, or we'd have a big fact to promote, but as of now, we're inclined to at least temporarily retire this column if we go an entire week without a donation to any of these campaigns. There's just nothing to write about. And while it's a good way to start our mornings before we dive into other news, the big takeaway from this is that the industry seems to be currently in a holding pattern. So 2 more days of goose eggs and we'll take a break. We'll provide the current data in a special segment on the newscast and newspaper, but no more commentary if it happens, or until we have something to actually write about. As always, if you'd like to give us a reason to continue writing about this stuff, we do have a GoFundMe of our own located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here on ReallyCoolSite.org. Benson continues harassment campaign. An enraged Regan Benson continued her quest for dominance in the Inglewood area, with live streams on Tuesday and Wednesday displaying her implied power over circumstances in the area. Tuesday's livestream was devoted to the cause of finding a home for Phil, an unhoused man who Benson has been attempting to find housing for in Denver over the past couple of months. When we last saw Phil, Benson was attempting to help him check his mail at the nonprofit St. Francis Center in downtown Denver. Benson got into an altercation with the manager at the facility, then apparently later abandoned Phil at the Denver Health and Human Services office when she received word that her grandson had been born. In Tuesday's update, Phil still didn't have the documentation he needed to get the apartment he qualified for through Denver's housing program. The copy of his birth certificate he had been seeking in the previous video had never come in the mail, and without an identification card or his birth certificate, there was little the city could do to help him. Benson rallied against the city, as she said immigrants were able to find housing without the same documentation, and ordered her followers to brigade Cole Chandler, Host's senior advisor for the homeless, on Phil's behalf after insulting and degrading Chandler on the live stream. Wednesday's livestream saw a more aggressive Benson in Inglewood, this time standing feet away from Inglewood police officers who were in the process of asking homeless people to leave private property. As the livestream started, Benson focused on efforts by two Inglewood police officers as they asked a homeless woman to leave a spot in a shaded area after the owner of the property called in a complaint. The woman was ticketed for trespassing by the police and was offered water and services from a representative of Tri-Cities Homeless Outreach. The woman had objected to Benson's filming, but Benson muttered that she was filming for the woman's protection, and the woman didn't understand that. After the woman left the area and police and Tri-Cities followed, Benson found one of the police officers she identified as Mark Douglas as he was conducting his duties of clearing private property. Benson insulted and degraded the officer to those assembled in her side chat and went into a long update about her harassment charges she's facing in Inglewood from an incident at the library. Updating that ugly incident from earlier in the year, Benson assured her fans that she would be victorious and was bringing in an attorney who was undefeated in handling the charges against her and Denver police-related matters. Her pretrial hearing on Tuesday, as reported by the Frauditor Troll Show, gained her what little discovery the prosecution had. Statements from the librarians about Benson's treatment of them and patrons over the years, and she dismissed the chances of her successful prosecution. Benson ended the stream by calling Douglas, who was involved in serving her with a notice that she had been banned from the Inglewood Library, a moron, and continued her ranting about police in Inglewood and Denver as she brought her video to a close. Dullahide answers judge's orders. Attorney James A. Conready, acting on behalf of client Jason Dullahide, sent the bare minimum reply on behalf of his client on Tuesday, giving a two-page response to the current motion to dismiss Dullahide's $250 million lawsuit. The attorney essentially states that he'd start to prepare a First Amendment complaint against Dennis Dickens and the Oklahoma Department of Safety. This is what he'd been ordered to do twice now, and he feels that answers to the motion to dismiss are being procedural and not a final determination of facts as alleged by the plaintiffs. No arguments against it, no challenges, no actual attempts to stop the motion, just an, oh well, I guess I'm going to do what you wanted me to do in all the orders that I've ignored before this. It continues the pattern of the same things established by Dullahide in this case since the beginning of it, and allowed by the court. Ignore everything the court says, do what you want, stretch the case out further. What will the judge do this time? If the past is precedent, he'll keep the case going, allow another 6 months of the nonsense, and leave everyone in limbo. Dullahide himself is in jail. He's not going anywhere, and neither is the case. That said, expected dismissal if the moons align, putting an end to the saga and Dullahide's dreams of $250 million. Are we being sued yet? I don't know. If anything, the past 48 hours have taught us is that the future is never certain, and an unnamed individual entered our lives and made things, well, Wonderful. Earlier this week, I got the tip that someone made infamous for alleged Karen-like behavior a bit over a year ago was suing Team Skeptic for doing a video on her. Again, almost a year ago. I wrote a story on it with Skeptic providing a copy of his tongue-in-cheek wasting air response to the person, and included it in our article, thinking nothing further, as it was a Tuesday filler piece essentially. Wednesday came, and boy did it ever. The person flooded my YouTube comments with a lot of words. Words that didn't make a lot of sense, since I'm just a humble blogger with no advanced education or talent after all. Somewhere in all the chatter, a cease and desist order was issued. In my YouTube comments area, as an obscure response, one of many, that I didn't see until hours after it was posted, and just in time to be included in last night's broadcast. The cease and desist was in the same message as an offer to use the person as a resource to correct my errors in reporting the story. This left me flummoxed, as I really had no intention of following up on the story, let alone doing another article to correct my reporting. Skeptic had fun with it, running circles around her in the comments area of Tuesday night's show, but otherwise they moved on to a short he made of her, and I think I'm out of revision for now, as there hasn't been a reply to our coverage last night of her outlandish comments. Dan's machinations left me with a lot of things on my hands, and I do sure wish his claims of having some sort of legal insurance and coverage from lawsuits were true and still active. However, association with him also cost a lot, leaving me pretty much starting over at my supposed advanced age. As we continued to pick up the pieces, start over and clean up messes, there really wasn't a plan to take on new opportunities for disaster. But if we're in one now, then so be it. We'll figure out a path forward. So, to answer the original question, are we being sued yet? As of Thursday morning, I don't think so. She's gone strangely quiet. She'd have to seek leave to amend her complaint to add me, but if it's coming, it's coming. There's no sense getting twisted up about it now, especially when I literally have nothing right now, and all she can get from my supposed erroneous reporting is, "I'm sorry you think I messed up, lady. Want a free subscription to the online paper to make up for it?" That's all I can offer her right now at this point in my life. Things will look up. Things will get better. It's just silly right now. Flashback, June 13th, 2023. DeCastro no-show at arraignment. Homeless YouTuber Jose Chile DeCastro did not appear at his arraignment hearing in Las Vegas this morning, instead allowing his defense attorney, Michael Mee, to represent him in court. According to Discord user Paul Barry, who was on scene, the arraignment judge asked Mee if a plea offer was made. Mee responded in the affirmative and asked for a trial date to be set. When the judge inquired as to why Mee didn't consider the offer, Mee stated that he did not know his client's position on the offer. The judge gave Mee 2 weeks to discuss the offer with DeCastro before moving forward in the case. Jose Chile DeCastro filed a motion to reconsider his previous motion to stay his local criminal proceedings in Las Vegas with the United States Federal District Court of Nevada after his Tuesday arraignment. DeCastro's motion attempts to get the court to reconsider the previously denied motion to stay legal proceedings against him. DeCastro claiming that death may await him if he were to be jailed, stating that death in a corrupt jail would make it impossible to raise constitutional challenges in the state case. In a curious second filing, a man named Jensen attempted to join the case by filing a joinder motion. Jensen is seeking to stay the state's proceedings against DeCastro and stop all Nevada officers from prosecuting a criminal matter upon DeCastro or any other person charged with obstruction in similar circumstances. Jensen's attempts to make the case that the state's use of the obstruction standard to apply to someone recording and talking to a roadside traffic stop detainee is invalid, as it prevents this person from mounting a defense based on the rights of traffic stop detainees or Miranda rights. Both motions were filed before DeCastro's arraignment this morning for obstruction and interference in a state-level case surrounding DeCastro's arrest in March. DeCastro still claims proceeding with this criminal case will chill his rights in the civil case. Long Island audit spoils goose egg streak. We were so close. 2 more days, just 2 more days until the week of goose eggs would have happened. We would have at least temporarily retired this column. But no! A single donation, a single significant donation, and Sean Paul Long Island Audits Riaz took the day and stopped the goose eggs at a record 5 days in a row. Why, Lord? Why do you hate me so? The donation came in to support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund and was for a single donation of $100 given to him shortly before a previous issue went live. Not that I think anyone actually reading this article would contribute out of spite just to make me keep writing these articles, but in my absolute paranoia, you know one of you would slip someone a $5 donation just to keep my torture going. All in all, 100 random dollars to a fund that isn't needed, as LIA is currently rolling in money, saved the day. Since it saved the day and I now have to finish this article, we'll do a quick look at the follies of Christopher Direct D. Ruff, because you wanted me to continue. Ruff has continued to hide his occasional live streams from the public view after they finish, turning them into single-view events, and overall taking a hit on his YouTube channel as he removes so much participation from that channel. His last few tweets have been about his media company, along with the bounty he's put out for a picture or short video of Gilbert, Arizona Police Detective Marcus Hernandez. Ruff is offering a cash reward for a recent photograph of the police detective, as he claims to be making a documentary about Arizona police departments trying to silence him. In more strange news for Ruff, his recent actions in Reagan Benson's chat room has gotten him in some serious trouble with the red-headed Denver residents. Ruff was timed out for participating in drama, resulting in Benson making the difficult decision to time him out from her YouTube channel. It's unclear what he said to deserve such a ban, but it's notable as he's been all over the place this week with strange activity, which will allow us to highlight the fact that his donations have dried up to his GoFundMe campaign. Ruff's last donation of $125 came some 26 days ago, and his campaign has stagnated at $11,365 out of his $100,000 goal. We will continue to monitor Ruff's activities for feature here, as this column is no longer on the verge of cancellation. Thanks, y'all. As always, if you'd like to keep us from cancellation, we do have a GoFundMe of our own located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories for feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. De Castro's nonsensical defense. Jose Chile de Castro returned to address his followers on his latest recording from the Clark County Detention Center on Thursday with an extended statement about his appeal. De Castro said that the only reason he was in jail was that he had a bad day at his trial for obstructing an officer and interfering in a traffic stop. He claimed that he was upset and called the bailiff a pig, his lawyer did a horrible job, and that the biased judge had watched his videos. He took no responsibility for his actions before or after his jailing, and went into a lengthy statement that a recent court case that reaffirmed the legitimacy of one of the laws he had been charged with breaking would actually help defend him at his upcoming appeal. Cherry-picking from the higher court's decision in the case of Wilson versus the First Judicial District Court of the state of Nevada, De Castro read passages that he claimed would show that he had every right to film the police as a journalist and as a First Amendment auditor. His new defense centered on the word willingly from the ruling by the court, that someone must willingly decide to interfere with a police officer in the course of that police officer's duties. De Castro latched onto this, repeatedly stating that he did not intend to disrupt the traffic stop he was arrested for interfering in, so he must be freed. With victory assured, De Castro felt that he would be freed immediately after his appeal hearing, then pledged to sue the shit out of Clark County, Nevada for unlawful imprisonment. DeCastro went on to say that he had good and bad jailers, and he didn't understand why some of the guards would chill and others would berate and scream at detainees for their entire shifts. The jailed YouTuber finished his broadcast by claiming that he had an idea for a new device to replace handcuffs, and he had sent the idea to his attorney to be patented. Attorney Patrick J. Darcy, a frequent critic of DeCastro's videos, seemed to need a drink as he processed DeCastro's meandering statement in a video released hours later. Darcy said that his opinion hadn't changed and that DeCastro would likely lose his appeal. He reminded DeCastro that he had made no mention of the Wilson case in his original 150-page briefing to the appeals court, and must do so in his reply brief before bringing it up at the hearing. While Darcy said he didn't support DeCastro, it was more important to clarify the confusing laws in Nevada regarding obstruction of a police officer. DeCastro's appeal could do that and bring needed changes to the law if successful. DeCastro's appeal is set for July 10th, 2024. Regan Benson wins Thursday in Denver. Regan Benson's campaign to show her dominance over police in the Denver metro area continued on Thursday with a visit to a police precinct in Denver's District 3. Benson live-streamed as she was on a mission to retrieve an iPhone she accused District 3 Sergeant Brian O'Neill of stealing last year when she was arrested for recording within a police station. The YouTuber noted that she had sued over the arrest, and as part of the settlement in the case, all signage indicating that filming was not permitted was now removed. Benson pledged that she would live stream as she entered the building and would not cede her rights as she entered the enemy's facility. The YouTuber also warned her viewers that she may face death as she dealt with the police. Benson entered the facility and immediately targeted the woman working the security checkpoint. She questioned why she had to go through security when she was just there to pick up her property. The woman reacted negatively to Benson's planned query and asked Benson to stop filming her after Benson finally submitted to the security check. Benson refused and told the woman she needed a new job as she was not suited for the role of security guard. A second security officer reaffirmed Benson's right to film, and the woman working security left the area to get away from Benson's unwanted filming. Benson was given details on where she needed to go for her appointment to retrieve her iPhone. When a police officer approached her with the phone, he asked for her identification. Benson asked why she needed to show her identification when they obviously knew who she was, because there had been body cam footage of her arrest showing she was the rightful owner of the phone. The police officer sighed, losing patience with Benson, and told her to make another appointment if she was not going to comply with instructions. As he walked off, Benson hurled insults at him in a display of her perceived power. Benson went to the person working reception for the area and demanded a superior or manager of the facility, eventually getting a member of Internal Affairs to take her complaint. As the Internal Affairs officer took her statement, she restated her belief that the Internal Affairs complaints were worthless, as police simply cleared each other of all charges without looking at her actual complaint. She then stopped the officer from making a report. The officer then went to check on the status of her iPhone, returning with it shortly after. He and his superior from Internal Affairs quickly exited the area with smirks on their faces after dealing with the enraged YouTuber. After a brief rant about how the package that contained her iPhone smelled like smoke, Benson exited the building. She proclaimed that she had won the day, as she did not have to show identification and still got her phone back. She then confronted a maintenance worker who was setting up a hose to water plants in the courtyard outside of the police facility in the noon sun before ending the live stream. DeWitt trial on schedule for Tuesday. Despite initial reports that Jeremy DeWitt received a continuance on Thursday, it proved not to be the case as DeWitt participated in his jury hearing and pled not guilty, setting the stage for Tuesday's start of his trial. DeWitt is scheduled to be tried on charges related to his alleged violation of probation and the rules in regard to his registration as a offender in Florida. The Osceola County-based charges are the first of 3 trials expected this year for the police enthusiast, as he is also facing trials for charges in Orange County, Florida, and for federal tax evasion. YouTube channel So You Dated a Police Impersonator is expected to be on hand for Tuesday's trial, though he missed Thursday's court appearance due to a prior commitment. The YouTuber also warned that another YouTuber who had taken a picture of DeWitt within the courthouse on Thursday had been kicked out of the court for filming. He claimed that he would no longer be risking punishment by filming within the courthouse and would instead be armed with pen and paper as he covered the trial. YouTuber PoliceTube's uncle of the Jeremy DeWitt Show by PoliceTube's uncle added that DeWitt's trial is actually going as planned, with the jury hearing leading into an actual start of the trial next week. He noted that DeWitt apparently has declined to take the state's offer of a plea deal that would have seen him serve 9 years in jail in exchange for dropping of some of the numerous charges against him. PoliceTube's uncle had previously reported that there are 2 outstanding charges in Osceola County that DeWitt has not been charged with as of yet. They may result in another trial this year should the police decide to pursue those charges. DeWitt's trial is expected to start at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning. Flashback to June 14, 2023, DeCastro comments on arraignment. Making his first statement since having his lawyer represent him at Tuesday's arraignment, Jose Chili DeCastro addressed recent events while driving and live streaming Tuesday night. The homeless YouTuber claimed he wouldn't address his court cases in the video, then stopped to pull over, claiming to literally single-handedly parallel park before discussing his recent court activity. DeCastro claimed that he hired an attorney to represent him in his arraignment, as he had a previous arrangement in Arizona that ended badly, as he did not have representation present. DeCastro's statement was instantly questioned by viewers, as DeCastro's alleged Arizona arrest does not show up in his well-documented criminal history. The activist would later state that he hired an attorney because members of Team DLZ had concerns. DeCastro failed to detail those concerns before changing the subject and making a statement that he would not accept special interest money when he campaigns and wins the governorship of an unnamed state. DeCastro spent the majority of the remainder of the video obsessing over a Las Vegas Metro police officer who was aggressive with DeCastro in a Monday morning traffic stop and asked him to move away from an active crime scene. The YouTuber threatened to sue the officer, identified only as Sergeant Martinez. The encounter leaving such an impression on DeCastro that he released multiple video shorts challenging and insulting the police sergeant in the hours that followed his broadcast. The GoFundMe conspiracy continues. In the maddening world that is the GoFundMe coverage, a single $7 donation to Jose Chili DeCastro's lawyer fund only, all dollars go to lawyers, prevented the start of another countdown towards the elimination of this column and video segment from our ongoing segments presented in both the paper and the newscast. $7. Who did it? Was it Gia? Was it Pants? Was it someone who knows how to spell anonymous? Someone did it. Someone gave the bare minimum amount to keep things going and make my torment continue. Speaking of living in a world of hell, Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova's wait for a judge to determine his fate will go on into a second week, as there's been no movement in his appeals trial. He's said to be appealing his sentencing in the infamous invasion of a Social Security Administration building from an incident 2 years ago. Rumor had it that he was also now challenging the entire verdict, though the court docs don't reflect that. A judge heard from both sides last week and said a ruling was coming soon. Soon apparently means more than a week, as there's been nothing from the court as of yet. While the ruling is outstanding, Cordova must at least pretend to abide by the terms laid out in his possible probation, or else face a stray eyeball or two that will wonder if he's learned anything. Abiding by probation would include things like no more auditing and getting a job, which, he kind of hasn't been doing much of lately, as he's been lazily re-editing and re-uploading things like his statements at the Inglewood City Council meetings. It's in an effort to make as much money off of as little work as possible. He has, however, started doing prank segments, where he and another auditor torment a third auditor by making prank telephone calls. It sounds cooler than it is, and neither man has a real sense of humor, and there's no real payoff, as the punked person is someone not widely known by the audience, or someone they have no reason to care about. Work is hard. Work doesn't seem to be happening, and Cordova will have to see what sort of fresh hell is heading his way should the judge not rule in his favor. As always, if you'd like to give us reason to continue not having to get a real job, we do have a GoFundMe of our own located in the scroll below. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Chaotic day in Karen Reed case. The Karen Reed murder trial was filled with twists and turns on Friday as a juror was dismissed, another juror was caught on camera, and everyone had a pissy day in court, while the most important evidence of the trial was presented to a limited audience. When a day starts with a sidebar, something is up. The jury wasn't even brought in when Judge Beverly Cannoni asked for both sides to come up to a sidebar. That sidebar extended over 40 minutes, without instructions to shut off the pool camera that sends the single feed from the courtroom to all the networks. During that time, the camera caught two bailiffs escorting a woman in a red dress to see the judge. This was apparently a juror, and resulted in backlash from the judge, who ordered the camera to be shut off for the remainder of the morning session. The feed went dark. Our own coverage on the Really Cool Site YouTube channel ended as we had no feed, and we were being told that the feeds would be coming up a little after noon, so a break was in order. During this time, a rumor persisted that a juror had visited a nightclub that had been mentioned in the case, and that the judge was interviewing all of the jurors to see which one it was. That rumor was never confirmed, but we know from Aidan Turtleboy Kearney and others reporting from within the courthouse during that time that jurors were being interviewed as the camera was dark. It would be eventually revealed that a juror was dismissed for unknown reasons Friday morning, the second juror to be dismissed from the case. Again, circumstances why they were dismissed were never revealed, and the trial resumed. The judge eventually allowed the pool feed to resume via Zoom call for the rest of the morning session, which gave two new and unfortunate viewing angles from temporary cameras placed in the court. Of course, the most important testimony happened during this bizarre time, as data expert Jessica Hyde testified that there was no indication of a search for how long to die in the cold happened at 2:27 a.m. or anywhere near that time. The timestamp in question was made as the tab in the browser was opened and a search was made for a sports-related topic at that time. Later, as Jen McCabe didn't close the tab on her phone, she reused the tab after Karen Reed instructed her to Google how long does it take to die in the cold. The defense in Turtleboy and all of Karen Reed Nation was holding out hope that the timestamp was real, and nothing changed after the testimony. Turtleboy proclaimed that Reed would be vindicated with an acquittal, and none of the actual evidence mattered, as the jury simply would be unable to understand the data presented. Pro-Karen Reed media outlets pounced because the data expert, quote, could not rule out, unquote, the search was made at 2:27 a.m., even though the expert said there was also no proof that a search was not made for pandas at the same time, because there was no data indicating a search. They ran articles with hope, slight hope, that the 2:27 a.m. search was still a real thing because there was no data showing it happened. The rest of the afternoon saw testimony from Massachusetts State Trooper Joseph Paul, a collision and reconstruction expert. His testimony verified that injuries on victim John O'Keefe's body were consistent with being struck by a car, and that the analysis of Karen Reed's vehicle showed no mechanical problems with her SUV. Paul also testified that data taken from the car indicated that some sort of event happened as Reed backed up and then pulled forward. The damage to her car and damage to O'Keefe's body also indicated some sort of event happened that night. Judge Beverly Cannoni excused the jury early as an impromptu voir dire session was held. The defense then argued to exclude evidence that Reed's SUV was not damaged when it supposedly hit O'Keefe's vehicle on footage of Karen Reed backing out of O'Keefe's driveway that the prosecution wanted to use. The Karen Reed trial resumes with a full day on Monday. The jurors are excused on Tuesday, while the court has an extended voir dire session with defense experts. They have a day off on Wednesday due to the Juneteenth holiday, then are back for a full day on Thursday and a half day on Friday. DeCastro LVMPD suit in final stages. The defendants in Jose Chile DeCastro's lawsuit seeking a multi-million-dollar judgment against the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police went for the juggler on Friday in filing a motion for summary judgment. Friday's motion was accompanied by the body cam footage of all the officers on the scene, DeCastro's videos released to his YouTube channel analyzing the March 2023 arrest, and a separate series of videos from DeCastro's channel where he admits that he had intended to provoke arrest in the incident in order to file suit against the LVMPD. The defense also points out the inclusion of the video of DeCastro's pat-down, where he alleged that he was viciously struck in the groin. DeCastro did not react to Officer Brandon Bork's pat-down, and the footage does not show a strike to DeCastro's groin. In the legal arguments, the defense pointed out that despite DeCastro's claims, the 1st, 2nd, 10th, and 11th causes of action were already dismissed with prejudice by the judge last year. DeCastro included them in his second amended complaint, despite the fact that they were already dismissed. They also assert that DeCastro's claim of excessive force cannot stand, as there was no evidence presented of excessive force. Likewise, the failure to intervene cause of action fails, as there was no reason to intervene. According to the defense, the selective enforcement claim fails due to the fact that while DeCastro made the claim that the defendants selectively enforced laws against people with white lips, brown skin, people that express criticism over law enforcement, those recording police interactions, and those publicizing information on police misconduct, he's provided no evidence to back those claims. The defense contends the rest of the causes of actions failed due to similar circumstances. DeCastro has made the claims but never followed through with proving the claims. They conclude that a summary judgment should be granted, as there's simply no evidence to back DeCastro's claims. DeCastro himself may not get the chance to officially reply to the motion, as before he was convicted of the charges involved in the case, he had then attorney Michael Mee make an appearance in the case and take over as counsel on record. The YouTuber is currently claiming that Mee mishandled his criminal case in relation to these charges, and it is unclear if Mee is still working with DeCastro in the case. No change of record has been made, so Mee is still responsible for any response filings at press time. With DeCastro distracted by all of his other legal cases, this case may end up having to wait for DeCastro to respond to the motion until after he is eventually released from the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center, if it survives that long. Sirio serves Mukilteo. YouTuber and post office enthusiast Glenn Sirio claims to have successfully served the town of Mukilteo, Washington, with his $50 million lawsuit this week, despite evidence otherwise. Sirio filmed himself outside Mukilteo's town hall and claimed that he was there to sue various members of the Mukilteo police force. He briefly held up a document stating it was paperwork related to the case of Glenn R. Sirio versus Andy Island. The paperwork included a notice of small claim and mediation hearing for August 6, 2024. The YouTuber said that he had multiple lawsuits against everyone involved in his 2023 arrest in Mukilteo, and he was suing on grounds of false arrest, stating that he had a gun, and over a threat made to kill him. After waiting in line to meet with officials, which he strangely left in the video, he was approached by the Public Works Director, who wanted to know if he could help Sirio. Sirio said he didn't want Public Works, calling it maintenance, and said he'd only ask the man if he needed help with a pipe. He asked for management, which the man indicated he was, but Sirio insisted that Public Works couldn't help him as the man attempted to assist him. The man later returned with the city clerk. Sirio insisted he wanted to see management and insisted on now meeting with the city administrator. The pair eventually returned with the city administrator. Sirio then had a process server hand the city administrator the multiple lawsuits. When told that the city administrator legally could not accept service, Sirio refused to have his process server serve the city clerk, who was the only one who could legally accept service. Sirio claimed he was going to sue the city in federal court for $50 million and insisted he properly serve the city, despite their claims otherwise. The city administrator again stated that they were not properly served, then excused himself. The city clerk then promised to return with a copy of the city regulations stating that she was the only person who could accept service, and Sirio's video ended with him standing in the lobby of the building, awaiting the clerk, without resolution. Flashback, June 15, 2023. Jason A. Jensen's motion denied. Internet user Jason A. Jensen suffered a second setback at the hands of the Las Vegas-based federal district court as Judge Andrew P. Gordon denied Jensen's motion for leave to file in opposition to the defendant's motion to dismiss. Going further, Judge Gordon ordered Jensen to cease filing documents in the case. Judge Gordon making clear that a properly supported motion to allow his joinder or intervention was still pending, and he may not file other documents in the case unless that motion is granted. The judge then instructed the clerk of the court to disregard the documents that Jensen had submitted to date and only file his motions to intervene in or join the lawsuit. Jensen appeared in Jose Chile de Castro's side chat during a live stream earlier in the week, claiming that he was prepared to intervene on behalf of de Castro. He then filed a joinder motion asking the court to postpone de Castro's pending state-level criminal trial and to block the state from continuing to use obstruction charges who wanted to interview subjects of traffic stops during said traffic stops. Appearing on the Welsh News Network Tuesday night, Jensen claimed that he did not know de Castro and that de Castro was just a crazy guy on the internet. This is a breaking story. Well, that's it for the week in review. Thanks to everyone who stuck around for the end of it. We'll be back on the air tomorrow morning at 8:55 a.m. for the Karen Reed murder coverage. Again, we're full days on Monday and Tuesday, also a full day on Thursday. Wednesday is off due to the Juneteenth holiday, and then it's a half day on Friday. Our normally scheduled evening broadcast will be held normally tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I hope to see everybody there tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. With that, let's go to the closing credits, and then we're going to repeat the birthday greetings for somebody special.